The year 1888. The stage, the dark and foggy streets of East End London, more specifically the Whitechapel district, a place known for violence, crime, and poverty. Then suddenly, a string of murders. The culprit, a madman with no clear motive. The most notorious serial killer of all time, Jack the Ripper. While most believe he only took the life of five, aka the canonical five, some believe he took the life of up to 11 women. All five victims were prostitutes, a very common job for poor women in Whitechapel who needed money to survive. There are many theories on who Jack the Ripper could be, but today I will be covering three of the most popular theories and the five canonical victims. On August 31st, 1888, at 3:40 a.m., the body of Mary Ann Nichols was found at Bucks Row, Whitechapel. The body was discovered by a man named Charles Cross, who claimed he was walking along Bucks Row when he noticed a bundle towards the western end. Another man named Robert Paul claims he approached the body with Cross. When police later arrived, Mary Ann Nichols, the first victim, was found on her back, her throat severely slashed, and she was disemboweled. It was determined that she had only been dead for about half an hour, meaning the killer was likely nearby when Cross first found the body. Later, on September 8th, 1888, the body of Annie Chapman was found at 29 Hanbury Street. Her body was discovered by a man named John Davis, an elderly resident of the 29 Hanbury Street building. Her throat was cut, and the murderer took her womb. A divisional police surgeon by the name of Dr. George Baxter Phillips claimed that the killer had likely had anatomical knowledge of the manner that the womb was removed. Later that month, on September 27th, 1888, the Central News Agency received a letter from the apparent killer. It reads, "Dear Boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they do look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me real fits. I am short on whores, and I shan't quit ripping them till I do yet buckled. Grand work the last one. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to go again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff and put it in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue. I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. Ha ha. The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ears off and send it to the police officers just for jolly. Won't you keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight? My knife's so nice and sharp, I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck, yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind giving me the trade name. Wasn't good enough to post this before I got all the red ink off my hands. Curse it, no luck yet. They say I'm a doctor now. Ha ha." This letter wasn't released to the public until October 1st, 1888, and many believe it was fabricated by a journalist. No matter if it was fabricated or not, the name stuck, and the killer went on to be called Jack the Ripper even today. 3 days later, on September 30th at 1 a.m., the body of Elizabeth Stride was found on Burner Street by a man named Lois D. Only her throat was cut, which led police to believe the killer was interrupted when Lois approached the body. It was determined that she had been dead for 30 minutes when examined. Only 45 minutes after the discovery of Elizabeth Stride's body, another body was found in Mitre Square, just west of the previous murders. The body belonged to Catherine Eddowes. Her face was destroyed, her uterus was removed, and also her left kidney was taken. Later, police would discover a piece of Catherine Eddowes' apron. Near this apron, a message was written in chalk that read, quote, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing," end quote. A nod to the anti-Semitism that was going around at the time in East End London. Later, a postcard was received by the police dated October 1st and written by someone claiming to be Jack the Ripper, reading, "I was not kidding, dear boss, when I gave you the tip. You'll hear about Saucy Jackie's work tomorrow. Double event this time. Number one squealed a bit. Couldn't finish straight off. Had not the time to get the ears for the police. Thanks for keeping the last letter back till I got to work again. Jack the Ripper." This is very likely sent by the real Ripper due to the fact that the police agency had not released any information about the murder to the public at this time. On October 13th, 1888, the police spent a week searching every house in the slums of Easton London and found nothing. Nearly a month later, on November 9th, 1888, the body of the fifth and last victim, Mary Kelly, was found in her bed by her landlord's assistant who was seeking rent. This was the most gruesome murder by far, as her body was disemboweled and she was virtually skinned down. It was said by an investigator investigating the case that it looked more like the work of a devil than a man. With that, we arrive at the end of the five canonical victims, but as stated before, there could be as many as 11 victims. According to people who said they had seen the Ripper, he was roughly 25 to 35 years old, 5'5" to 5'7", stocky, with a fair complexion and a mustache. With that, we're on to the suspects. There are many as 15 alleged killers, but today we will be covering 3. Our first suspect is James Maybrick. Maybrick was a wealthy con merchant who resided in the Battle Crease house in Liverpool. Though many believe the Ripper was a local man, it should be noted that all the murders happened on a weekend, and a wealthy con merchant would have the ability to travel on weekends. The most damning evidence on Maybrick is a diary reportedly discovered under the floorboards of Maybrick's estate, signed, "I give my name so that all know of me. So history do tell, what love can do to a man born. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper." Also, within the diary are vivid details of the murders and scientific tests that show the diary roughly matches the era of the killings. The diary was reportedly discovered by a scrap metal dealer named Mike Barrett. It is here where the claim of Maybrick being the murderer seems to fall through. Barrett admitted that he fabricated the diary only to recant the statement later, claiming to not want the publicity. There are also mixed reports on how Barrett obtained the diary, many believing the diary was handed down through generations, while others believe he discovered the diary on his own. All that aside, if the diary was in fact under the floorboards of Maybrick's estate, it is a very strong possibility that he was in fact the Ripper. The second suspect is a theory Ripperologists call Jill the Ripper. This theory is rooted in the idea that if police were on a hunt for a man, it would allow a woman to get away without getting questioned. Some have pointed out that a midwife would have anatomical knowledge, and blood on her clothes would not raise any eyebrows. However, it should be noted that all eyewitness accounts points to it being a man. The third and final suspect we will be covering is Joseph Barnett, who's particularly suspicious because he lived with Mary Kelly, the final Ripper victim. In fact, Barnett may have lived in 10 different locations in Easton London, making him well versed in the area and capable of navigating back streets. Barnett worked as a fish porter, giving him anatomical knowledge. It was believed he was in love with Kelly and disagreed with her life as a prostitute, and strived to make money to keep her off the streets. Some theorize that Barnett committed the first murders to scare Kelly off the street, which for a time actually worked. But when Barnett lost his job, she returned to the street to make ends meet. They often had fights over their financial struggles, and Barnett also disliked Kelly's love of getting. This all accumulated in one final fight when Kelly brought home 2 prostitutes, leading to a window being broken and Barnett moving out. Only 10 days later, Kelly was found dead in her apartment. After the murders, Barnett was questioned for 4 hours but ultimately set free. Having lived there, Barnett would have knowledge of the household and how to unlock the door from the outside. He was also aware of Kelly's schedule and tendencies. Details from the scene suggest Kelly was killed in her sleep and not by an outsider she invited in. As an associate of Kelly, he would be an individual prostitutes trusted, allowing him to get close enough for a sneak attack. A newspaper from the time claimed that his friends often called him Jack, and he matched the police description. The murders stopped after Kelly. If his love was gone, Barnett would have no reason to kill because his lover was finally off the street. The case of Jack the Ripper was really the first time there was a media frenzy over a crime or murder. The murders happened during a time when literacy was on the rise in Easton London, causing the public to be very interested in this case and leading to news agencies reporting false news on the case to stir up the public. This is one of the first examples of fake news, and the public getting interested into a mystery. This ultimately led to true crime and mystery shows we know today.